joining us here in the Forest City at our city's hall. I just want to start with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we're gathered today on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenape-Wauk, and Attawandaron peoples. We honor and respect the history, languages, and cultures of the diverse Indigenous people who call this territory home. We acknowledge all of the treaties that are specific to this area: the two-row wampum belt treaty of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, Silver Covenant Chain, the beaver hunting ground treaty of the Haudenosaunee-Nanfan Treaty of 1701, the McKee Treaty of 1790, the Lennon Township Treaty of 1796, the Huron Tract Treaty of 1827 with the Anishinaabe, and the Dish with One Spoon Covenant Wampum of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. Three Indigenous nations that are neighbours to London are the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and the Munsee-Delaware Nation, who all continue to live as sovereign nations with individual and unique languages, cultures, and customs. Well, I'm very excited today to kick off this announcement, although I have the pleasure of going first, which means I don't get to spoil it. But it is an exciting announcement, and we couldn't be more proud. First, I want to recognize that there are a number of councillors who have joined us today, as well as city staff. I can't possibly see all of them, nor do I want to try to list them all, but I think we have most of council in the audiences too. And everything you hear today is a testament to the hard work that those individuals have done on behalf of our city. I do want to say housing is very important to the City of London, and we know that we are critical in the province's goal to build 1.5 million new homes, and our target is 47,000. And our council has been doing everything that it possibly can this year to ensure that we're ramping up approvals in the City of London. In fact, in 2022, we approved 4,430 units. In 2023, we approved 5,337 units. Halfway through this year, we've already approved 10,400 units. And that doesn't count tomorrow at Council when we add another 1,150, or the planning meeting later today, and I see Chair Lehman in the audience, where another 1,300 on top of that will be approved, meaning year to date, after those approvals are done, 13,000 new council approvals for housing in this city that Council is doing. We are fully committed to the province's goals of building more housing in this community, and that is why infrastructure in the City of London is so incredibly important. In fact, we're doing a couple of other things too. We've launched a new office to residential conversion program in the downtown, something that I have personally spearheaded and have the full support of council on. We have accelerated housing approvals. Our staff working very hard. The number of housing units approved in building permits is 57% higher than the 5-year average, and high-density units are nearly meeting our full-year projection already at the midpoint to the year. London is certainly a city on the move, and that's thanks to the incredible partnership we have with the province of Ontario, and I couldn't be more delighted to introduce the next speaker, MPP Flack, who's, I sometimes say London and Elgin Middlesex, but Elgin Middlesex London is the riding. He's also a minister in the provincial government, a great champion for our city. When I sit down with him and say, these are the things the City of London needs, Minister Flack goes to bat for our city. In fact, at some of our AMO delegations, he even sits on our side of the table and ensures that we're advocating together to the provincial government in partnership to get the types of investments that we need to grow our city. So with that, I want to welcome Minister Flack up to the stage.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. Obviously, a great day to be here. Great to see many familiar faces outside there. And by the time today's done, I think the Mayor is going to have a great big smile on his face along with all of Council. So also great to be here, obviously, with Minister Surma and our Premier. Since 2021, folks, 40,000 people have moved to London and region. Think of that, 40,000 people, and continue to grow. The economy's grown by over 3%, and the construction sector is booming. You look outside, we see the cranes right. Mayor, it is booming. It is great to see. It brings its challenges, but it's also exciting to see the growth. And why is this happening? Because this Premier has laid the seed, as I like the agrarian term. We've planted the garden, we've planted the crop, and under his leadership, and under Minister Fideli's leadership as well, we're seeing the fruits of our labour with investment coming to London and area. $7 billion for Volkswagen, think of Maple Leaf Foods, Dr. Oetker, Aspire Foods, and many, many more. Notice I got a little bit of food talk in there, Peter Cuddy, but it's exciting to see the growth take place in this region. And our plan to help our economy grow, create the environment for our economy to grow, is working. So thank you, Minister Surma. a great announcement here today, and she continues to help us get the needed infrastructure in London and area to help get more homes built, create the environment again to get the job done. On a personal note, I want to say there's been more done for London and this region by this Premier in the last 2 years in the previous 15 years of a former government. Think of what we've invested in the London area and continue to invest to create that environment for people to succeed. We're making life more affordable for London families and businesses, and we will never, I repeat never, I think you'll back me on this, impose a carbon tax. Thanks for coming out. I'm going to turn it over to Minister Surma. We have a great announcement to make, and she's going to do a great job. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Minister Flack. Thank you for the introduction, and of course, good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be here in London today with Premier Ford and PP Flack to share some news about the progress our government is making to build Ontario and unlock new housing for communities across the province. Infrastructure connects people to their families and friends and the essential services that they rely on every day. To keep pace with the province's fast-growing population, we know that we must maintain and expand Ontario's infrastructure in order to protect and preserve our standard of living. That's why our government is investing more than $190 billion over the next decade to build hospitals, public transit and subways, highways, schools, and long-term care to protect our most vulnerable. Building Ontario also means building more homes, and homes cannot be built or approved without access to clean water and systems in place for wastewater. In fact, there are communities across the province that cannot approve new units without adding additional water capacity. We heard from municipalities that replacing, repairing, expanding pipes and treatment facilities was a huge financial burden. That's why in March 2024, we announced $1.8 billion for our infrastructure program. Since then, we awarded $970 million to 54 projects in 60 communities. In response to the high demand for this program, our government is investing an additional $250 million to launch a second intake, allowing more municipalities to apply for funding to support their local water infrastructure needs. We are currently accepting applications until November 1st under the second intake, and of course, I encourage all eligible municipalities to apply. While water infrastructure is essential in getting more homes built, we know that other infrastructure upgrades are necessary to accommodate growth. Last week, we launched the Housing Enabling Core Services Stream. This stream will provide municipalities with $400 million to build, maintain, and repair core assets like roads, bridges, and culverts to connect new homes with safe, reliable roadways and connections to other municipal assets. Applications for funding under this Housing Enabling Core Services Stream are also now open and will be closing on October 18th. With our water and critical infrastructure funding that's been made available to municipalities, let's build even more housing together. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, our government has launched the most aggressive and effective housing policy in the country, and we are doing it in partnership with our municipalities. Let's get the job done together. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Kinga, for that introduction. I always say, Kinga, you have the best job. Just imagine, you have a job that you go around to 444 municipalities, hand out money, sometimes in the billions, and all great news. What a good gig you have, man, I'll tell you.
Tougher than you think.
No, I know.
Receiving the money is pretty good, too.
Yeah, that's right. It's great to be back here in the beautiful city of London alongside Minister Surma and Minister Flack. I also want to thank the Mayor. Mayor Morgan, you've done an incredible job. Your city councillors have done an incredible job. I see Jerry over there, too. How you doing there, Jerry? One of many great councillors. I have a soft spot for councillors. I walked a mile in your shoes for 4 years in probably one of the most political, tough areas in the country, the city of Toronto. But the city councillors do everything they can and work hand in hand. And the numbers you told me Mayor, 13,000. It can't be done. I got to give a shout out to the great staff, because I know things don't get done unless you have an incredible staff, incredible council, and your strong leadership. So thank you for everything you're doing here at City Hall. It's such an exciting time to live in London. There's so much happening here, and as Minister Flack said, you drive down, you see the cranes going. Cranes mean prosperity. Thanks to the hard work of the Mayor and Council, thanks to our province's competitive business environment, we've created the environment and conditions to attract companies from all over the world. The region is attracting so many new investments and jobs in the auto sector, the agri-food industry, and in manufacturing. Food sector is really big here, I noticed too. We're going to visit a few companies after this. In fact, according to the Canadian manufacturers and exporters, London is one of the hottest cities right now in all of Ontario when it comes to manufacturing jobs. Since 2020, employment in manufacturing has grown by more than 8,000 jobs. And folks, as Volkswagen completes construction on their plant just down the road in St. Thomas, and as we build out our end-to-end electric vehicle supply chain, that number is only going to grow because there's so many suppliers coming in for Volkswagen. And I know you have lots of property here, and we put out that new app that you can fill out, and it's going to really work well for the people of London. But as I've said before, while we continue to build our economy, while our population grows, we have to build the infrastructure needed to support this growth and ensure that it's sustainable for generations to come. That's exactly what we're doing, with the most ambitious plan to build in Canadian history. Our government is investing nearly $100 billion to improve transportation infrastructure across the province, including funding to widen 401 from Tilbury to London and Highway 3 from Essex to Leamington. We're making record investments in healthcare, including more than $6 million to connect over 23,000 people in the region to primary care. Sorry. In education, we're investing $16 billion to build, repair, and expand schools, adding 800 new student spaces in London. Folks, in total, we're spending over $200 billion, no matter if it's building the hospitals, schools, roads, and bridges. It's never been done before. And friends, we're working closely with our municipal partners, laying the groundwork to tackle Ontario's housing supply crisis. Earlier this month, as Minister Surma mentioned, we announced the first round of investments from the Housing Enabling Water System Fund, a total of $970 million that will help build more than 500,000 homes across 60 municipalities. And today, I'm thrilled to announce that this first round of funding, including nearly $24 million for the City of London's downtown sewer expansion project, this investment will help replace 175 meters of sanitary sewers under the Thames River and, once complete, expand the region's wastewater systems, helping to get more than 17,500 new homes built faster. It's going to support London's growing population and the economic growth taking place across the region. Friends, it's so important that we get shovels in the ground for new homes in every part of our province. And Mayor, again, I want to thank you and the council and the staff. Those numbers are big, 13,000. That's sticking in my mind. And Mayor Morgan, we're going to keep working with you and all the mayors and councils across this province to build the housing enabling infrastructure you need to meet and exceed your housing targets and to bring the dream of home ownership into reach for more people. We're going to get it done. Once again, thank you all for joining us, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We will now go to reporters' questions. Reporters, please line up at the mic behind me. Please identify yourselves by name and outlet. It'll be one question, one follow-up. First question.
Premier, as you probably know, we have a lot of people in downtown London who are struggling with mental health issues, drug use issues, homelessness. What message would you have to people who work in addiction recovery who are concerned about your government's direction when it comes to supervised consumption sites? London's wasn't touched. Others were in the province, and some people here that we've spoken to are concerned about where your government might go when it comes to these supervised consumption sites, which they say are important to prevent fatal overdoses.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think they should be very grateful. We just announced, I think it's $376 million, never been announced before, to make sure we help people out, get detox beds, rehabilitation, and getting them back on their feet, making sure we have proper housing for them, job opportunities. And do you know who led this way? Your mayor. He came up with this idea well before any other region in Ontario. He's a champion along with the council, and we're going to be there to support people. That's our goal. I'm not a fan of the federal government's safe supply. I compare it to giving people poker chips, dropping them off in front of the casino and saying, go to town. Or give them all free pass to LCBO all day, all night. That doesn't work, folks. I know. I've dealt with it within our family. I've dealt with it within our community. That does not work. What works is rehab, detox beds, supporting these people with good paying jobs. Housing is absolutely critical. And there's a whole row of things. Not just ignoring it, and that's my personal opinion, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. But the person that led these hubs was the mayor here. He came up with this idea a long time ago, and he talked to us and really lobbied us hard on supporting this, and really we got that idea from the mayor, and we're spreading good ideas across the province that are going to help people. So I'm quite proud of what we're doing.
Jack Moulton, London Free Press.
Hi, Jack.
Hi. So it's been reported that technically the city did not meet its housing supply targets for 2023, and they argue that that's more on the economic circumstances than anything. And the mayor mentioned that approvals through council have been coming through, and that's been an issue for municipalities. Will the government commit to maybe evaluating those in a different way?
Well, it's a 3-year program, and the mayor and the council have done just a spectacular job. And I agree with the mayor. You drop these interest rates, and I hear the U.S. is dropping theirs. You get them down below 3.5%, closer to 3%, you'll see houses mushroom all over the province. So I agree with them on that end. When interest rates are high, you don't see as much action, but we're going to hopefully see the Bank of Canada drop theirs again in their announcement. I think it's coming in September, if I'm not mistaken. And you'll see better opportunities. But they can't be dropping it a quarter point. It doesn't cut it. You got to do a substantial drop, get it well below 4%, and then we'll see some action. But it's a 3-year program that we're doing, and I'm confident that they'll be hitting their targets, and we'll help them any way we can. Another big part of it, to be fair to the mayor and other mayors around the region, is the infrastructure. How can you build homes if you don't have the proper water, wastewater, sewer systems needed to build the homes? So we've stepped up in a big way, or the minister stepped up in a big way, of in excess of about $2 billion. And we're adding on to that as well. So everything is coming together. We're going to continue building. We're going to work collaboratively together. It's amazing what we can do when all levels of government work together and work side by side, and that's what we're doing right now. So I just want to thank again the mayor and the council and the staff for really moving the ball down the field.
And London was singled out last week at AMO regarding the hubs model for people in need. Will there be any overlap between London's system and the provinces that plans to come online? Because the city was looking for provincial help in bringing those up.
Yeah, so funding, any hubs too get a lot more funding. I think it's 3 or 4 times as much funding. And we love getting great ideas from great mayors like Mayor Morgan and other mayors and councils around the province. And with our ideas and their ideas, you come up with a good solution. So it's all about collaboration and working together, I believe. That's with anything in life.
Premier Claude Baudouin from CBC News.
Hi.
Your government has presented a lot of crime data as the reason for shutting down the safe consumption sites. But what are the health reasons for doing so? Because health workers are saying that they've reversed thousands of overdoses and saved lives.
Well, this is just my personal opinion. You know, since these have been in, and everyone has their own opinion. Maybe it works here in London, other places it doesn't. I'll tell you, the communities are bringing my phone off the hook about safe consumption sites beside schools and beside daycares. They're leaving the needles out there in the parks. I get calls every single day. Certain communities can tolerate that. The communities I hear don't want it. It's very simple. Folks, I want to help people. That's at the end of the day. We all want to help people, get them back on their feet, get them off the drugs. So we're going to do everything we can to support them. And I believe that we're going in the right direction. And a lot of people believe that. We're pouring unprecedented amount of money, over 376 million. And we're going to put that towards helping people and getting them, housing and getting them a detox bed if they need one. My opinion, you just keep handing people needles. Or like I said on my last press conference last week, the federal government, imagine going into a place at any given time. You can get in, the drugs you want. You go out on the street, and this happens. They sell those drugs, and then they buy harder drugs. It's a fact. It's not make-up stories here. This is exactly what's happening. I believe in rehabilitation. That's what I believe in. Other people have their opinions, but I've seen what works and what doesn't work. In my opinion, it's a failed policy.
Daryl Newcomb, CTV News. The same report that the mayor cited that said we've already approved about 10,000 new housing units, and by later this week probably about 13,000. Also cites that just over 1,000 have actually broken ground this year. What tools will your government give to help municipal governments expedite groundbreaking so that these are not just approvals on paper and actually result in construction?
Well, I'm going to pass it to you, Mayor, in 1 second, but there's no government ever that I can remember that has given more, more money and to cut red tape and regulations to build homes quicker than what we have. We've done a slew of different areas, but we're going to continue. I always say continuous improvement, continue helping municipalities. And the big part of it is infrastructure. It's absolutely critical. With Minister Surma's plan, that unleashes 500,000 homes. And I know the council here, they're moving forward along with the mayor and the staff. So I'm very grateful. And Mayor, I'll pass it over to you.
Yes, thanks for the question, Daryl. So, like the Premier said, council, when building housing, there's a shared responsibility across the spectrum. The municipality has a role, the provincial government has a role, the federal government has a role, and of course the building sector and the financial community have a role as well. What we've seen is council ramp up a tremendous number of approvals, and that will allow us to prepare for when the economic conditions improve. We've already seen, although the units might still be a little lower than we'd like to be actually starting construction, what we've actually seen is building permits being pulled is up year over year, and we're trending higher on the building permit side, which are the precursor to those units actually going in the ground because they start to incur costs when they pull the permits. So year over year, whereas we only pulled 1,726 permits in 2023, we're already halfway through the year at 2,251 permits being pulled, and it's our expectation that those will come to fruition. I also want to mention that Minister Calandra and I, in this City Hall, hosted a roundtable with the development community, sat side by side and talked with them about the roles that each of us could play, municipal and provincial, in support supporting turning the permissions actually into developable units. And a ton of great feedback was given to the minister, who is on a regular basis bringing out new bills and new legislation to try to close those barriers. But first and foremost, one of the things that comes up the most often is the interest rate conditions and the ability to borrow money. And it's the expectation as we stockpile these permissions, as with the partnership with the provincial government, we put the infrastructure in the ground to enable the water and wastewater capacity, and Council has created the backlog of permissions. As the interest rates improve, it's our expectation that there will be a big push on the building side as soon as those projects that are very close to economic viability start to flip to that. And that's why it's so important for the Bank of Canada to continue to look at how inflation has come down, now in the mid 2%, and make really good decisions on the interest rate side so that we can actually get the housing built. Because although I'm very proud of the permissions the Council's given, ultimately all of our goal at the end of the day is physical homes that people can live in. And that is a goal that we are all laser focused on, and each and every level of government will do what we can do within our jurisdiction. I would say we definitely need a little help from the economic conditions and certainly the Bank of Canada on this as well.
And I'll just add to what the mayor is saying and the premier. I think it's very clear that you can see that municipalities in the province are working together. We cannot control all of the market and economic conditions out there, but what we can do is contribute. And what we're doing is spending a lot of money to make sure that the infrastructure is in the ground and ready so that municipalities can work really hard and approve those applications and get those building permits so that more houses can be built. So thank you, Mayor, for all of your leadership at the municipal level, and we will continue to support our municipal partners.
Last question.
As was mentioned, London will continue to have a supervised drug consumption site. Can you tell us what your vision is for changes to improve, I think was mentioned at AMO, security, and ensure that neighboring businesses and residential developments around our current site, that some of the safety and issues and cleanliness issues will be addressed? What do you envision in the future around the sites that are remaining?
Well, I think that's the municipality's responsibility, and maybe the mayor can answer that one.
So the CarePoint facility will come into additional provincial oversight that the Minister of Health and Deputy Premier announced. I know the municipality, in a conversation that we've had with our staff, stands ready to assist that site in whatever the new regulations and obligations are. I would say, as the Premier said before, there are some cities where there have been significant challenges around these sites, and there are other cities where there has been less so. As I've talked to other mayors, there's a variety of opinions on how their sites were performing. Some have exceptionally difficult challenges, and some it's been a little bit easier. So I think with the additional provincial regulation and oversight, we'll certainly be a strong partner in helping the implementation of that, and those sorts of improvements that the Deputy Premier and Minister of Health announced hopefully will alleviate the situation as it stands in some of the existing sites. And of course, those sites that will no longer exist because of their proximity to schools or daycares, which London is not impacted by, will have the option of transitioning to other care facilities like the hubs-based model, which, although I certainly appreciate, and I'll say this now, the credit that the Premier gave to me for this, as those in London know, this was a community-built plan in consultation with frontline workers, municipal staff, the development community, hospital and institutional healthcare providers to build a model that integrates care into a transitional path into treatment, recovery, mental health, addiction supports, employment supports, justice services supports on their pathway to stable and secure housing, which is, again, the ultimate goal. As I've said all along, the ultimate goal is to not have people in hubs for the duration of their challenges. The ultimate goal is to get them the help they need and transition them into the right type of housing. And the Minister and the province's commitment to supportive housing, of which they've been a great partner in the City of London for, allows us to create other steps in the housing continuum for those who have the most needs and get them the care that they support. So this is it's a complex, very large issue, but we're lucky in London to have all of those players at the table working together to ensure that the continuum of care that we provide in our city is integrated, it works well together, and we ultimately get people off the streets, out of encampments, through the care that they need and into housing at the end of the day.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor. I appreciate you having us by. I just want to point out one thing, and I appreciate the safe consumption sites and the social issues, and we're focusing on that. 3 out of the 4 of the questions are about that. Let me tell you what people care about. People care about that, and don't get me wrong. It's very, very important. Do you know what pays for that? Number 1 on any poll you see, it's the economy. It's about affordability, making sure they have affordable gas, affordable house, affordable groceries, healthcare. Those are the top 3 issues. And if we keep the economy going, like the folks here in London are doing, and more companies are coming to London and the region, that pays taxes. And more revenues go up to the city coffers, go up to the provincial coffers, and that's where we get the money. We landed the largest battery plant in North America just down the street, and a lot of people that are living in London, they're driving down the street to work at the new 16 million square foot, 4th largest building in the world at Volkswagen. They're going to be working at the same, all the suppliers that are surrounding Volkswagen now that are just run down the street. That's what people are focused on, and we'll never lose track of that. We have a booming opportunity. We're taking on many companies from around the world to invest here because the mayor and 444 other regions, or 443 other regions, have created the climate and the conditions for companies to come here. We've reduced the cost of doing business by $8 billion. We've seen over $44 billion of EV sector come here. We knocked off China as the #1 location in the world to invest in right here in Ontario. We've seen over $20 billion of tech come here. We've seen $4 billion of life sciences. And manufacturing, folks, last year, the manufacturers of this town that contributed in other towns created more manufacturing jobs than all 50 U.S. states last year. When I had 9 senators come up just 2 weeks ago, they are in awe. They're in shock of what we've done, no matter if it's our energy sector with clean green steel. We have one of the cleanest grids in the entire world. That's what people are worried about. That's what we're going to focus on with our great municipalities. But we will always have a social conscience to take care of people that can't take care of themselves. I want to thank you. God bless you. And again, thank you, Mayor, for hosting us today. Thanks, everyone.